Hare Krishna, welcome everyone.
I am Sumana Guruji.
Sumana, Hare
Yeah.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna Guruji.
and Hare
Happy
Krishna.
belated Teachers Day Guruji from Bangalore.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So hope you stay with us until the complete journey and make the most of this satsang. We have wonderful satsang members here.
Yes, Guruji.
So again, welcome. This is Krishna Dasa. Today we are going to start the Bhakti Sutras, the actual sutras. And we will be covering 4 sutras today. I think that will be a good grouping. And before we begin, I'll say the prayers to Guru and God. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna.
गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः
Hare Krishna. I hope you all have your journals, because this is a pragmatic Bhakti Sutra, which means we don't just study the theory, but we are also going to learn how to put it to practice. That is the most important aspect. So if you don't have a journal, please try to get one next time. It doesn't have to be a physical notebook. It can be your iPad, it can be your laptop, whatever you are comfortable with. But opportunities like this, they don't keep coming again and again. You may also not have this kind of time later in life. So make the most of it, and that journal would really, really help you, putting these things to practice. So we begin now. So today we're going to start Narada Bhakti Sutra, the sutras as written by the great saint Narada. Now before we start, I'm going to, make you or ask a question that is going to make you just reflect within your minds. And that reflection will be very important to set the context for this session. Have you ever felt a kind of a pain in your heart? Maybe it's just a gentle pain, or maybe it is just a longing for a kind of love which is unconditional, a kind of love that accepts you the way you are, and the kind of love that will never betray you. Do you ever feel like that? I'm sure we all do. Sometimes we do it subconsciously because we fill our head with so much noise. Usually what happens? The deep inside, our soul knows what is right for us. Our soul knows what we need. But what happens many times, we try to create noise, and escape from that voice, because that voice from within, it always wants you to do what is right, Shreya. But that doesn't agree with our ego. Our ego is more interested in, I need to have that reunion, I need to meet that friend, I need to go to that party, I need to show off, I need to be important, people have to praise me, people have to this, people have to that. And we create so much noise to escape from that voice. But if you quieten yourself, that voice is very clear. The voice will actually ask you, do you really have that kind of love in your life? And if you are true to yourself, I can guarantee that the answer will always be no. Because Narada Muni also is saying that this kind of longing is not a mistake. It's not a mistake to have that kind of a longing within us for that kind of unconditional love. He says that it is more like a compass. That longing is pointing towards the direction we actually need to go. So it's very profound. And where is it pointing to? When we say it is pointing towards where we have to go, where is it pointing to? It is pointing towards that divine. It is pointing towards that absolute divine, because that love of that absolute divine, only that can be absolutely unconditional. Only that can be absolutely selfless. Only that can be absolutely constant. We just studied in the Bhagavad Gita that everything is asat. Asat means it is not permanent. If sometimes, we want to believe that, our relationship with somebody is permanent. But what is that entity that wants to believe that? That is our ego. That is our pride that makes us believe in something which is impermanent, because the ego is also asat and this expectation is also asat. So they are friends. So what is the only sat? The only sat is that supreme. And the love of that supreme is the only sat. So that is the only thing that cannot change. We may change, but that will not change. That is why it is said that the God's grace is always there. Are we there is the question. And we have to open our hearts to that. So this Bhakti Sutras is the roadmap. Just like Bhagavad Gita is a user manual for how to purify ourselves and how to strengthen ourselves and how to prepare ourselves, the Bhakti Sutra is a manual, a map for how to recognize that divine love, how to develop that divine love, and how to sustain that divine love. That is all this topic is about. Okay, and this pretty much is, I would say, the ultimate goal. Vedanta and whatever you want to call it, philosophies and theories, they are all there just to make sure that we understand that this is pretty much the absolute goal. And once we realize, then all that knowledge can be put aside. It is like you want to go on a vacation with your loved one. Where are you supposed to go? You don't know. Then knowledge, you need knowledge. You will do search, you will ask people, you will maybe hire a, consultant, whatever. Finally, now you are clear that I want to go, let us say, to whatever place it may be. I don't want to take a name. But once that is decided, and once you have started the journey, will you now again keep going back to the 100 places that you reviewed or the 15 different agencies that you spoke to? They have done their job. Now you are supposed to focus on that journey and appreciate that time in that place that you wanted to be in, right? Same way, Narada Bhakti Sutra is that destination. It is pointing to that destination. All other theories that we have, they were all just telling us that this is where we are supposed to go. That's what I'm trying to explain. So let us get a quick context about the journey to pure devotion. So Narada Muni, who is the celestial sage, and so as we discussed during the introduction, he first explored dharma through rituals. That is, his work is called Narada Smriti. he was not satisfied. Then he went and integrated that knowledge with devotion in the Narada Pancharatra. There is some debate on whether Narada Muni himself wrote Narada Pancharatra or if he taught somebody and then somebody else wrote. Doesn't matter. What matters is, first it was a work of just dharma. Second, it was Mishra Bhakti, dharma mixed with bhakti. But Narada Muni was not satisfied. He was still feeling like he's missing something. And that is where he went and created the Bhakti Sutras. And that is when he felt satisfied. So, the first sutra, when he starts, it's a very powerful statement. It says, Atatho Bhaktim. It starts with Atatho Bhaktim. Vyakyasyamaha. Now, therefore. So, what does it mean? Why is he starting something by saying now, therefore? Because if I tell you, if I'm explaining something and I say, now, therefore, that means as if I've already told you something. But here we are starting with Sutra 1. So, why is Narada Muni starting Sutra 1 by saying now, therefore? No, that's the context we need to understand. So, we just set the context. We said how he first spoke about Dharma, then he spoke about Mishra Bhakti and all of that. So he's saying that I've already spoken about rituals, I've already spoken about a little bit of devotion, mixing devotion with rituals and all of that. And how I was not satisfied with all of that. And so now I'm talking about pure bhakti. Now, the point to note is, bhakti also can be approached intellectually. In fact, many people who are starting on the path of Bhakti Yoga, many people for whom Bhakti Yoga is new, they will also start the Bhakti using intellectual analysis only. The first question would be, why Bhakti? Bhakti towards who? There will all be intellectual analysis. Whereas Narada Muni, he is approaching Bhakti from the heart. The right way to approach Bhakti. So, however, if you are interested in an intellectual analyzation of Bhakti, there is a path for that also. And there is a text called as Shandilya Bhakti Sutra. You can take a note of it, and if you want, you can go research, and I think there are a couple of books available. So Shandilya also wrote a Bhakti Sutra. Just for comparison, if you look at the first shloka or the first sutra of Shandilya's Bhakti Sutra, it will say Atatho Bhakti Jigyasa, which means now we shall examine and analyze in detail what Bhakti actually consists of. So that is how it is different. However, we all know that Bhakti means love, and love is something that has to be felt. Love is something that has to be realized. Would you rather spend years of your life writing a PhD thesis on a million types of love, or would you just rather want to feel that love? That's the question. If you are the kind of person who is looking for writing a PhD thesis, please go ahead and read up the Shandilya Bhakti Sutra and similar texts. But if you are the kind of person who wants to feel the love, then you are in the right place. Let us go and pursue. Because Narada Muni's Bhakti Sutra is not very flowery. It's not like too many, obtuse, complex words. It's nothing like that. It's very simple. So initially, you may even feel like, is it important? Is it really? But if you stay with it and if you approach it the right way, this is the path of divine love that we can experience. Shall we begin with Sutra 1, or did anyone have any questions here? Okay, so we can start with Sutra 1. So I will read the sutra. You can feel free to try and repeat it at your end, just to get a feel for it. The Sutra 1 says, Athatho Bhaktim Vyakyasyamaha. Atha, now Ataha, therefore, Bhaktim is devotion, and Vyakyasyamaha means we will explain. Now, therefore, the doctrine of devotion we shall explain. So this begins the Narada Bhakti Sutra. So Narada Muni, again, when he was trying dharma and rituals and mixing rituals with bhakti, he was not satisfied, and eventually he came to this path of just bhakti. That's one of the reasons why he starts the first sutra with the statement athato. So he's saying that now that I've already spoken about the ritualistic aspects, now I've already spoken about how to mix rituals with bhakti and all of that. Now, therefore, I am now explaining what is the path of pure bhakti. Now, because bhakti is dealing with divine love, which has to be felt, we are going to set the context in our mind now before we continue any further. We are all going to make this commitment to ourselves that we are not going to give too much importance to that intellectual noise. And this is why in the introduction I said that the Guru Parampara and that Guru Sishya is the right setting for this. You need to be open to that, and you need to open yourselves to that, because this is a matter of the heart. So, which has to be accepted. It cannot be questioned, because the moment you get into questioning, that is intellectual analysis. You are free to do that. But then that is a different approach. Then you have to again go back to the intellectual aspects. Once you are satisfied, once your intellect is satisfied, then come back here. But once you are here in this classroom, you are going to assume that the intellectual pursuit has happened already. You have already made this conclusion that this is the right path. And you have already made a conclusion that the person who is teaching you, you are going to accept that person as they are going to say the right thing, they are going to say the truth, and we are going to accept it. Okay? With that mindset, we have to continue. So this athato also means that we have developed the qualifications necessary for practicing bhakti. See, it is not about any filter. God is going to accept everybody, anybody. It is not whether God is going to accept us. The question is, are we ready to accept God? It may seem easy, it is not. So those prerequisites, there are some prerequisites, like Sri Krishna has also spoken about that, many virtues. And Ramanuja is another great teacher of Vishishta Advaita, and he has given 7 qualifications that are necessary. And I'm going to talk about those 7 because in the context of Bhakti Sutra starting, those 7 really make sense. And so you can take down these 7, introspect upon this, and the more you can, make a commitment that you are going to fulfill these requirements, it will be good for you. The journey will become more meaningful and more easier. Shall I start telling you what the 7 prerequisites are? Okay. The first one is Viveka. Viveka is discernment. You can use the word discrimination, but it sounds negative. The right word is discernment. Discernment in food, specifically. Choosing the kind of food that is going to nourish your body and soul. There are people who will tell me, Guruji, anything for you, whatever you say, but don't tell me to give up, my pizza. Don't tell me to, So see, personally, your Guruji is not impacted what you consume, what you don't consume. Personally, God is not impacted what you consume, what you don't consume. But if this is your journey, if you want to drive in a Ferrari, then you have to make sure that it has the right fuel. You cannot insist that I'm going to use cheap kerosene, but I still want to drive a Ferrari. It's conflict of interest. It's just not going to happen. So that is the message. First one, Viveka. Second, Vimukha. Vimukh, turning away. So Vimukha is turning away from worldly objects. It doesn't mean running away from worldly objects. It just means don't be attached. Don't let worldly objects be your priority. That is vimukha. Third is abhyasa. Krishna also has said the same thing. Abhyasa means consistent practice. For example, make up your mind, have a commitment that I'm going to do Nama Japa. But that Nama Japa has to be an abhyasa. The Nama Japa is not I will do it on Mondays or I will do it on Ekadasi. It has to be every day. And there will be many such practices we will go through when we talk about bhakti. You have to do all of that as a abhyasa. The fourth is kriya. Kriya is action, but action with the right intention. An action with the intent of service as a spiritual practice. See, spiritual practice doesn't mean you have to buy haldi and coconut and every day have half a kilo of ghee. That's all okay. If you want to do all of that. They are all rituals. But that mindset of service has to be the top priority for spiritual service. This is how you have to do your spiritual service. That is kriya. Then fifth is following that. Related closely. Kalyana. Kalyana is purity in thought, word and deed. Where you want the good for everybody. Sabka kalyan. That has to be a mindset. Number 6, anavasada. Anavasada means it is a kind of cheerfulness. You are always cheerful, blissful. However, there is no excess of sadness or there is no excess of despair. Like you are not brooding. Because you need to always be in the mindset of attitude of gratitude. Very important. And when you are in a mindset of attitude of gratitude, that leads you to anavasada, where you are cheerful and you are not brooding about anything. Then the 7th is anudarsha. It's another word for equanimity. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it is called as samatvam. All it means is avoid excess. Just because your favorite team won the match, don't start jumping around and saying, I need to now party for 3 days, Not required. Just like that, if your team loses the match, don't wail and scream and cry and, say that I'm depressed. That is also not required. So if you can do that, that is equanimity. Sri Krishna will say, Sitoshna Sukha Dukkhada. Heat, cold, happiness, distress. You should be able to face all of this with a stable, calm mind. These are all not just fancy words, okay? These are very, very, very powerful tips to make sure that we succeed in the true sense and get on the path to that absolute love. So these are all like, if you see, first of all, these are not barriers. Did you see anywhere here that spoke about you have to be born in a Brahmin family or you need to be rich or you need to be a man or you need to be a woman? There was nothing like that. So it is not about filters. It is not about barriers. It is about preparation. Just tell me something. If somebody tells you that if you have to be part of an orchestra, let us say you want to be a musician, you want to take part in an orchestra, and they are telling you if you have to be in my orchestra, you have to make sure your instrument is always tuned. Now, are you going to say that is discrimination? Are you going to say somebody is... No, that's exactly what these are. So these are all preparing ourselves, tuning ourselves. It is very, very important. So assuming that you are understanding all of this, assuming that you are following all of this, Atha, now he is going to explain the path of divine love. That is how the first sutra is setting the context. And also keep in mind that these are all qualities that have to be developed. Very, very important. And it is not just a fashionable statement to say that we are not talking about caste, creed, or anything. If you look at the lives of people, there have been great saints, saints like Nanda, Ravidasa, Alvar, Avvayar. Great example. They are all from low castes, and they all went on to become the most prominent saints and sages. So they have demonstrated, led by example, that nothing matters. Your social status, your background, your where you are born, nothing matters if you are determined to grow on the path of bhakti and become dear to that divine. Everybody is welcome. It is not where you are born that is important. It is what you are willing to do, which is more important. So before proceeding, let us take a quick moment to identify. First of all, ask yourself, maybe write it in your journal, you can reflect on it later, on what am I actually seeking through this study of Bhakti Sutra? That question, it's very important that you have an answer for that question, each one of you. Okay, what am I actually seeking? And second, am I willing to fulfill these 7 prerequisites? These are not very difficult or very complex prerequisites. And trust me, this, even you having the intent, even you making a beginning, even you trying, will have a transformative effect in your life, which you will not notice, but people around you will notice. So, one of the best things that you can do to yourself, invest in yourself this way. You're ready for the second sutra now? Okay, the second sutra is Sa Tvasmin Parama Prema Rupa. Simranji, that is what is in the cover of the book. Simranji was asking me, I see this in the cover of the book, what is it? So that is the second sutra. Very beautiful sutra. Okay. Sa means that. Asmin is in him. Parama Prema Rupa, the form of highest love. So this sloka, this or sutra says that bhakti culminates in supreme devotion and pure love for that. That means Bhagavan. A mind which is totally turned towards the divine, in divine love, expecting nothing, expecting neither bhukti nor mukti. Because if you see all religious tradition, you ask somebody, why are you fasting on Monday? Because I should get a good husband. Why are you fasting on Ekadasi? Because I should get punya. Why are you going to a temple? Because I want to get a H1 visa. There is always, these are all bhukti. You want enjoyment, you want something material. But then there are people who are, ahead of the game, and they will say we are, not having any material desires. Then you ask them, then why are you praying if you are not having material desires? But they will say we just want mukti. So there are 2 types of people. One type of people, they want to enjoy this world. And the other type of people, they want to escape this world. So the first type is called as bhukti, second type is called as mukti. And Narada Muni says, neither bhukti nor mukti. Then you get into bhakti. That is real bhakti. Simple as well as very, very profound. Because if the mind is able to sustain this kind of love, that is what is meant by Ananya Bhakti. So we are all very fond of Sri Krishna's, sloka, Ananya Chintayanto Maham Ejana Paryupasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshema Mahamyam. And a lot of people will spend so much time on what is that Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam, and they miss the whole point. You know, they are like, is Krishna really going to provide? Is Krishna really going to take care of me? And we are like, you missed the whole point, because the first part of this sloka was Ananya Chintanan. What is Ananya Chintan? Where you are not even worried about mukti or bhukti. If there is no desire for bhukti or mukti, then why are you even worried about Tesham Nitya Abhiyuktanam? Why does it even matter? Right? And if you understand that, then you are actually on the path of Bhakti Yoga. Very, very profound here. See, another interesting thing, the observation that you can make is, in this loka, Narada Muni is using the word that. He's calling Bhagavan as that. You know, he's not, naming, he's not saying Vishnu or Shiva or Ganpati or nothing. He's just saying that. Because that is a true essence. So Bhakti Yoga is above all these religious sectarian beliefs. This is what is quoted in Rig Veda. Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, where there is just one reality, but the wise people, they try to explain it, perceive it in many different ways. That is the truth. So this you will find even in Vedanta. In many places in Vedanta, they will refer to God as that. Because people who are only reading religious texts, many times they will have these questions and they will have this difference of opinions. They will even say, why is God a he? Why is God not a she? And all of that. But actually, Vedanta says you cannot even define God using gender. God is that, it. So let us focus on just the relationship and not on these attributes. So let us pause and reflect for a second. See, my intention, the intention behind this session that we are having is to make sure that these lessons become internalized. And we find a way to apply these teachings. And the intent is not for you to know what is divine love. The intent is for you to feel the divine love. By the time we finish the 84th Sutra, we should already be feeling. And that is the goal. And that is why I'm conducting this session the second time. So I will be providing you with these pointers, providing you with some exercises. All of these are important. The more sincerely you follow this, the more guaranteed that goal would be. So if you can, we just spoke about Ananya Chintan, we spoke about love, in which there is no desire for enjoyment of material things, nor there is a desire to escape. Now pause and reflect what it will feel like to actually love without absolutely any expectations. Have you ever loved like that? And just a couple of moments, you need to introspect, you need to try and feel how it would feel. Let that be one of your mind exercises later on when you are sitting and having nothing to do. Instead of thinking about nonsense, there are a million nonsenses that we all like to fill our heads with. Uske bajaye, think this: how would it really feel to have that kind of love, either to love like that or to be loved like that? And that will be a very great exercise. So let us understand one important term here. It is called as Siddha Bhakti. That is the supreme love for the God, and that is termed as Siddha Bhakti, or it is also called as Para Bhakti. In the introduction, we said that we need to be consistent in the practice or sadhana. And so there are two types of bhakti, if you remember, that's what we said in the introduction: sadhana bhakti and siddha bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is where you are practicing, and siddha bhakti is where you have succeeded. So what is important? We are approaching it again here because we are all now sadhana bhaktas, almost all of us, including me. We are all still in sadhana bhakti. We are practicing. How do you reach siddha bhakti? The sadhana has to be consistent. Okay, that is the first important thing. And second, we have to have the faith. The faith that sadhana bhakti will lead to siddha bhakti. If that faith is not there, you will not reach the destination. That is why, every religion, faith will be a very central key word to almost all religious texts. And that is what Narada Muni is doing. He's trying to explain that aspect of Siddha Bhakti here. One of the best stories that you can all read is the story of Prahalada. And because he achieved Siddha Bhakti at such a tender age, hardly 9 years old, and he had achieved Siddha Bhakti. Can we think about that in our lives? Here we are, even when we become 90, we are still bothered by worldly needs, worldly pleasures, See, it is not just a story in the final scene where Hiranyakashipu is asking, "Where is your Lord?" And Prahlada says, "He is everywhere." And then Hiranyakashipu is asking, "Is he here? Is he there? Is he in this pillar?" No, it's a very popular scene. And you know how the story went. Prahlada said, "Yes, he is in the pillar." He had that conviction. For Prahlada, it was not theory. For Prahlada, that was his reality. Yes, but today, if I go and break a pillar, do you think Narsimha will come out of it? Or if somebody asks you, where is God? Can you really have the conviction to say that, yes, even in this stone, God is there? You may talk theory, but can you talk with conviction? Because we don't yet, and that is the gap between sadhana bhakti and siddha bhakti. Where when you go to siddha bhakti, you have already practiced ananya chintan. That is ananya chintan. That is ananya bhakti. That is what takes you to siddha bhakti, where it becomes your reality. So I asked you to reflect. Now, the other exercise I'm going to give you is practice. What you have to practice is commit to make any one small gesture. Doesn't matter who it is for. It may even be for God. Doesn't matter. What matters is your intent. What should that intent be? You have to feel selfless love, where you have to do something for somebody or something for God or something, if you don't like the word God, something for the divine, but do it with absolutely zero expectations. It's actually not easy. Because anytime you do something, if you're very honest and if you have a sharp mind, if you can introspect, there will always be some expectation. Sometimes expectations may be very subtle, but there will still be some expectation. Now you have to make that an exercise. It's very difficult, but at least once a day, even if it is for 5 seconds, maybe it is the first thing in the morning, do something with absolutely no expectations. That is how you develop this quality of achieving Siddha Bhakti eventually. So let's come to the third sutra. Very simple, very sweet. Amruta Swarupacha. Amruta is immortal. Swarupa is his form, in its form. So this sutra says that in its intrinsic nature, this supreme love for the Lord, which is called as devotion, divine, that is the nature of immortality also. The Swarupa of Amrut, the Swarupa of immortality is also this divine love only. So after introducing the concept of Bhakti, Narada Muni is beginning to explain now the benefits. Although he said you should not have any expectations, he's saying, but I'll still tell you what are all the benefits. See, this is the key point. Knowing the benefits, but not being attached to the benefits. See, great teachers like Narada Muni, they have used these aphorisms. They've explained it in like 1 or 2 lines, which is so hard and so profound. Just like how Sri Krishna has explained the Bhagavad Gita using 2-line shlokas, because if you see various scholars, they all come up with so many pages of explanations for every shloka. That is the point. I mean, these great people, great saints like Narada Muni or like Bhagavan Shri Krishna, they will just say one line or two lines, but it will have so much meaning, it will have so much profundity in it that we need pages and pages, if not books, to explain and understand. Why we are saying this here is, although these sutras may seem small and short, we have to dive deep and we have to try to derive the complete meaning and the context. And that is where a teacher is important. That is where a teacher tries to, guide. I have also studied the Bhakti Sutra. I mean, of course, I don't have a one-on-one relationship with great saints, but I have studied it. I have studied how some of these great saints have taught it. And I've been fortunate to even be part of one such session. I've also attended one session by Swami Mukundananda, where he has also taught about Bhakti Sutra. So whatever the perspectives that I'm coming up here, they are not my own. The perspectives that come here, they are mostly based on the commentaries and work of many great acharyas and saints. Of course, my contribution is only to simplify it and to provide additional context and explain it in a way that is easier for us to comprehend. But I'm not saying anything which is just my own funda or my own interpretation. So I want to make it very clear. The intent is you should have a lot of faith and conviction in what we are studying here. Everything is authentic. So in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, sloka 31, Shri Krishna says, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvachantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktah pranashyati. Very powerful. He says, such a devoted person, he quickly becomes righteous and he attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Krishna is talking about this kind of devotees that we are just studying now. People who are eligible for attaining Siddha Bhakti. So Krishna is saying that such devotees, they will attain everlasting peace. Only people who are stuck in the material realm, they are going to experience the defects of mortality. Janam, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, all of these are material problems. And everybody will feel lost in the material world. If you remember in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna called the material world as Moha Kalilam, dense forest of delusion. And he was providing a way out of that. And even there in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, no, if you are running behind rituals and all of that, you are going to get lost in this Moha Kalilam, dense forest of delusion. If you want a way out, he says the best way out is bhakti. Krishna himself has told us that is the best path. And the same thing Narada Muni is saying in this third sutra, Amrita Swarupacha, where he's saying that divine love is the nature of immortality itself. Which means that he's going to now explain other aspects of pure bhakti. I think we can, what do you say? Should we stop here or should we cover one more sloka? One more sloka, how many people? Or is it, I think, do you need more time? Okay, you're all okay. So then let us do one more sutra. The sutras 4, 5 and 6, they are going to describe the fruits of bhakti. I cannot actually see the chat very clearly. Who asked a question? Somebody asked a question. Can you raise your hands, please, so that I know who asked that question? Sumana ji, okay. What was the question, please?
Guruji, I just wanted to know, you told that we are eligible for the divine bhakti and love, right? So how do we know that we are eligible for that? Like, what makes us realize that we are eligible for that?
Excellent question. So everybody is eligible. The answer, right answer, correct answer, authentic answer is each and everybody is eligible. Not just eligible. it is our duty to become, full of that love. So eligibility is not the problem. The problem is preparation. Are you prepared? That is the question. So those 7 qualities we spoke about, if you are willing to invest time and if you are willing to develop those 7 aspects, that will make sure that you are prepared. See, there is this story, the story of Ramakrishna, and I have told this story in the Bhagavad Gita sessions also. So one person is a businessman, and he keeps pestering Ramakrishna, saying, "Give me a glimpse of that divine love." And Ramakrishna says, "You're not ready," but he doesn't want to listen. He's like, "You are avoiding me. You think I'm not eligible," and all that drama. And he keeps on pestering Ramakrishna. And one fine day, Ramakrishna, he looks at Devi and he says, "Mother, give him a glimpse." And then that guy disappears for like 7 days. There is no news. On the 8th day, he comes to Ramakrishna and he's visibly, completely, like he's looking lost and he's looking like, like he's in trouble. And he says, "No, Guruji, what have you done? I'm not able to concentrate on anything now. I'm not able to focus on my business. I'm not able to pay attention to what my family needs. Even when somebody talks to me, my mind is not there. I'm all the time thinking only about God. Aisa kaise chalega? How can I go on like this? I think I'll go mad." Ramakrishna smiles and says, "That's what I was saying. Mother wants everyone to be experiencing that love, but the question is, are you ready?" So that is the preparation that we need. Even material, even your own human love. Sumanaji, tell me, if you love somebody, will the question be, are you eligible for the love? No. The question is, are you ready? Do you have a job? Do you have a home? Can you, if you have a family, can you take care of it? Don't we talk about, we are not talking about eligibility. We are talking about preparedness, correct? Just like that, divine love is even more profound. And we need to be prepared for that. That's all we are saying. But you are eligible and 100% eligible. Does that answer your question, Sumanaji?
Yes, Guruji, it answers my question.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So the 4th sutra says, very beautiful sutra. So it says, "Yal labdva puman siddho bhavati amrutho bhavati trupto bhavati." Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So Narada Muni says, having gained this supreme devotion, the devotee attains perfection and immortality and becomes satisfied forever. So there is a word used, puman, which is very beautiful. It's a very deep meaning. It is referring to the Purusha, the super soul, the conscious spirit that is residing within every single being. So Naraji is telling us that when the soul itself gains this kind of love, it finds its own true nature. And what is the true nature? That is the nature of perfection, nature of immortality, and nature of complete satisfaction. Tell me something. If you can feel like you are perfect, if you can feel like you are immortal, and if you can feel like you are completely satisfied, what else do you need? I'm perfect, I'm immortal, and I'm completely content. I don't need anything else. Then you see, that isn't that giving you an indication of that supreme state? So what is the essence? If we want to succeed in attaining that divine love, then we should give up all other desires. If your desire is to go to the Himalayas, then don't waste time in the corner tea shop. If your desire is to go find that Kohinoor, then don't waste time in those cheap trinkets. And don't waste time collecting those glass pieces. That is the message. The first part, the essence is that even the desire for liberation is nothing. So you should not be attached even to that. Even that is not the absolute. That is the fundamental difference between all other yogas like Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Raja Yoga. All of those yogas, the ultimate goal is mukti or liberation. Whereas in Bhakti Yoga, there is no desire for mukti. In Bhakti Yoga, the desire is only for bhakti. Like there are many great saints who have said that mukti is the servant of the Bhagavan. Will you all agree if I say that mukti is the servant of Bhagavan, servant of God? Of course, because God is that supreme divine. Then won't you feel silly if I ask you, why are you running behind the servant when you have a choice to run behind the master? And that is what the saints are saying. Why run behind mukti, instead of just running behind bhakti? Because Krishna himself has said that devotion is so strong, that I myself come under the control. He doesn't say I come under the influence. He says, I come under the control of these devotees. What to do, he says. I start dancing for them. That is the power of bhakti. So Narada Muni is saying that if we are established in such devotion, then you will become immortal and you will also become completely satisfied always, forever satisfied. Complete satisfaction. Amrutho bhavati, truptho bhavati. This is not just temporary satisfaction. It's not like today I ate a laddu, but then after 3 days I'm again, I want to eat a laddu again. It's not that kind of satisfaction. This is complete satisfaction, perfect satisfaction. This is what we go back to the reflection that we had in the beginning of the session is you will always feel an emptiness in your heart, no matter what you achieve in life. A lot of us here in this session, are you all not, already have you not achieved so many things in life? You survived your first few years of your childhood, that is an achievement. You learned to walk, that is an achievement. You learned to talk, that is an achievement. You went to school, you passed your primary, you passed your secondary. Some of you have got jobs, some of you have got boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, houses, jobs. So many things you have achieved, but are you completely satisfied? We are not, because we cannot be. It's not our fault. It is the grand cosmic design. But Narada Muni says, once you have a taste of that divine love, you will be completely satisfied. You will be completely truptho bhavati. Then there will be nothing else you would want, nothing else you would need. Motivation, right? And he talks about pure perfection. Siddho bhavati. What is siddhi? Even in Ashtanga Yoga, they talk about siddhis. Many siddhis like anima, mahima, garima. You can become small, you can become big, you can do this, you can do that, And many saints will tell repeatedly that just because somebody has achieved a siddhi doesn't mean they have achieved God realization. Siddhis are very material. Siddhis are just following the laws of nature, natural progression. So if you do certain yogic practices in a certain way, you are all going to get siddhis. But is that a goal? In fact, there are many saints who will say that those siddhis become a distraction. So they will stay away from those siddhis. Although they are eligible, they achieve those siddhis, they will not want to practice and exhibit those siddhis. But what are pure devotees aspiring for? Only the divine love. So they are not interested even in mukti. So what to talk about siddhis? In fact, Ramakrishna used to say that all these siddhis, great siddhis like even psychic abilities and all of that, he would say it's not a goal. He would say actually they are very bad distractions. They take us further away from the real path. So please don't get attached. And there is this is in Ramakrishna's biography. I took it from there. It says Ramakrishna used to make a pun on the word Siddha. So do we have any Bengalis here? I think, yeah, Suchita is here. So Suchita may correct me if I'm interpreting it the right way or not. This, of course, I took from the biography of Ramakrishna. There it says that in Bengali, the word Siddha also means boiled, becoming boiled, And so Ramakrishna used to say, when a man becomes a Siddha, he becomes soft and tender because it is like, he got boiled. So he's saying Siddha means that is what it should be. Siddha means you should become soft and tender. Your heart must become compassionate. And that he says is a true Siddhi. And so Narada Muni is also talking about that kind of Siddhi. When he's saying Siddho Bhavati, he's talking about that kind of Siddhi, not the material powers and distractions. So Narada Muni, when he says Siddho Bhavati, he's talking about devotees becoming that kind of a Siddha, where their heart has become soft, their heart has become completely compassionate, devoid of pride, devoid of ego, and only absorbed, ready to absorb all that divine love. That is the Siddho Bhavati we're talking about here. So I'm going to now talk about some key takeaways. You feel free to write it down, please. Sutra 1, the key takeaway: Bhakti requires readiness and certain qualities. However, it is open to everybody. So as I was telling Sumanaji, everybody is eligible. There is no eligibility constraints, but it requires readiness and it requires us to develop some qualities. Now, when you come to Sutra 2, the key takeaway is pure devotion is a kind of love where there is absolutely no expectation of anything. And Sutra 3, the key takeaway is this kind of divine love is the essence of immortality, and it will give us freedom from all kinds of suffering. And if you look at the Sutra 4, the key takeaway there is through this kind of bhakti, we can attain true perfection and complete satisfaction. Now I'm going to ask you a few questions, which are questions for introspection that you should write down and you should think about it. You have 1 week, so I'm sure you can spend at least half an hour introspecting and thinking about this. Now, the first question is a very profound question, practical question. The question is, what desires am I holding on to that is preventing me from experiencing pure love? What desires am I still holding on to that is preventing me from experiencing pure love? The question has the answer also. The reason we are not able to experience pure love is because we are holding on to something which is lesser. And this is an introspection for all of us. What is it that we are holding on to? Can I give you one more question, which can be a very profound introspection? Is what will change in my life if I could love without expectation? I hope this makes sense. And with that, I can stop talking and I can open the floor for questions or comments.
Maybe I have a question. So, for example, like I recite the Maha Mantra first thing in the morning. It's more like a gratitude. So, can that qualify as selfless love? I mean, thanking him for everything that is given, or that itself also doesn't like what you asked us a question. What can you do without an expectation? You had asked us a question. What was that? So I was just thinking, is that
Yeah, it is not prescriptive. You can do anything, but the question is, sometimes the expectations don't surface. Sometimes the expectations, they are deep, somewhere, deep within us. They're in the subconscious level.
do something for the divine selfless love and no expectation? So my
Correct.
question to is that reciting without an but just as a thank you also. Does
Yes,
it then just a
See,
thank
I'll try to explain it slightly differently, okay? So sometimes I've heard this from many people, including many of our satsang members. I've heard this, when they study the Bhagavad Gita also, when they are being sincere, when they, try to practice uh, whatever Krishna has said and all. At one point, they start feeling like, they say that I feel like Krishna is now helping, or I feel like, he's holding my hands and all of that, right? My question is, what if you didn't feel like that? What if Krishna, you don't feel like he's holding your hands? What if you are going through a difficulty and you feel like Krishna is not there? Will you still wake up and do the Maha Mantra the next day? That is at the subconscious level. The Krishna to dur ki baat hai, even for, like your friends, your family, or even you, like at least during the session, you call me a Guruji. So, but what is your expectation from me? Is there something at a subconscious level? And if that is not met, would you still continue this relationship? Would you still feel this way? That is the path of introspection for us. So it is not prescriptive, like if I do Maha Mantra, is it selfless love? Or if I, do Aarti, is it selfless love? It is more like, doesn't matter what we do. Deep inside at a subconscious level, what is it that I'm expecting? We all have expectations. We just don't know sometimes what we expect. So I'm giving you these extreme examples. Like you think you are doing something very spiritual, but you get a headache.
Yeah.
And now, are you going to feel discouraged? That means your expectation was, when I do a spiritual practice, I should only feel good. See, so like this, our mind is a very powerful adversary. You won't easily know what kind of games it is playing and what is hidden behind it. Uske liye we have to do a lot of this kind of introspection.
That at a so though at a conscious level we are saying we're not expecting anything, but at a subconscious level you may expect, which you're not aware of.
Yeah, and how do you know that? How do you find that out? Is now present yourself a negative scenario. Present yourself a negative outcome. And then ask yourself, will I still continue? You see, that is the easiest way to counter your mind and find out if there is any expectation. Like I am giving a donation, for example, I am doing charity. There is some poor person on the streets, and you will very proudly say that I am doing charity, but I have absolutely no expectations. But let us say you give charity and the person calls you names. Next day, would you still do charity? If not, I'm not saying, what the person is doing is right. That's not the question. The question is, that gives you an indication of what your expectation was. Your expectation was, I will do charity and they will respect me. But that is not very evident. It is at a subconscious level. And how do you catch it? by presenting yourself a negative situation or a negative outcome, and then asking yourself, will I still have done it? And I'm not saying you should do it, because that is where viveka comes into play, discernment comes into play. But when you're practicing divine love for the Supreme, then no matter what the outcome, you should still continue. That is going to be love without expectation. See, there is a reason why those 7 qualities are required, because you can take whatever we are saying here out of context. And tomorrow somebody tries to hurt you, harm you, and you're like, no, but Guruji said I have to help without expectation. No, that is not what Guruji said. Guruji said, practice viveka, practice discernment, okay, and know when to do it selflessly and when not to do things. And then all we are saying is the context is divine love. Love for that Supreme has to be completely selfless. Love has to be selfless. Your actions have to be measured. It has to be in the context of your circumstances, your surroundings, your duties. You see? So that is why Bhagavad Gita is so important and a good thing to do before you come to Bhakti Sutra. Because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has made all of this very clear. Swadharma, Paradharma, all of that is very clear. So this all makes sense. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. And I look forward to continuing the journey with all of you. See you all in the next session.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Thank you.
Yes, most welcome. Hare Krishna.